Thanks, Abby. I'm David Barista. I'm the editorial director of Building, Design, and Construction magazine and BDC Network. So we're a series of media properties that cover what we call the commercial buildings market, anything that's sort of vertical construction in US and Canada. We have some smaller properties, multifamily design and construction, focuses obviously on the multifamily market, which includes student housing and senior living, as well as apartments and condos. And then we have a property called BDC University, which is continuing education for AEC professionals. Great question. I get asked it quite often. I think email is probably still the most efficient way to approach an editor. I get quite a few phone calls these days, and I just don't have the time to take all of them and spend 20 minutes on a phone call being pitched a project or a story idea. Email, again, is very efficient. You can put a lot of information into an email. And to me, the ideal pitch would have, not only would be something that would be relevant to our readers, is a good story, that's first and foremost, but secondly, has all the information we need in one document. So we could pass it to the other editors, we could save it for future consideration, we could file it away as part of a package that we're going to put together. But you're one click away from viewing the images. Maybe even captions and photo credits are included. That would be the dream, but more information about each and every image. Sources, who's going to be the expert that we interview for this story. More, background information on the actual project. Or story idea. So that's kind of the ideal pitch, is like this complete package. But again, first and foremost, it's something of interest to our readers. What do you mean of interest? It's something that's going to help them in their daily business life. One thing to always remember, you have to know the audience. We get so many pitches, and I get it from a public relations communications perspective. You want to get the word out to as many media properties as possible, but you have to know the audience for these media properties. So filter it, customize it as best you can. So in BD&C's case, we're a publication that's read by a media brand that's read by commercial architects, engineering firms, so engineers that do structural and MEP engineering, contractors, so general contractors and construction managers, owners and developers. So it's like 4 or 5 distinct disciplines that are interacting with our brand. You have to think about what these people want and need in their daily lives. It can't just be a generalized pitch, because us editors, we get deluged. Like, we get so much stuff. The stuff that sticks out is, advice-driven content. It is a new hot emerging trend, or a project that just breaks the mold. We just haven't seen a project like this out there. Or it's an expert that is willing to get on a Zoom call or write an article that's going to provide, helpful advice for our readers, or talk about emerging trends. So just remember the audience, who you're trying to reach with your news or pitch. The biggest pet peeve is, and I've had editors want to write a book about, they've run or launch a website about what bugs them about PR people. I don't think anything bugs me about public relations. I've worked on that side of the business, and I understand their job. I think it's the constant phone calls and emails after something was sent. I get something like 300 emails a day. And now if you multiply that, times 3 or 4, people are trying to follow up. In some cases, within the hour of sending the original pitch, like it becomes noise, right? And I just delete those follow-ups. I just don't have time for it. I wouldn't get anything done. So it's the constant follow-up. So be smart and strategic about follow-up. Maybe you do follow up with the phone call or some other way to reach that editor. But I wouldn't be, and I understand some clients, they want answers right away, but I wouldn't be too aggressive with the follow-up to a pitch. Abby, that's a wonderful question. I treat all my PR professionals like my children. I love them all equally. But Abby, I've had fun with you in the past. I think you're a great public relations professional. And I think it's more the ability to sit down and have a candid conversation about the market, about the needs of your clients, about the needs of my readers. I think that's so important. A lot of PR professionals, they're too cold, they're too calculated. They're not looking to establish a working relationship with editors. And I still think there's value in that, even during COVID when we're not at trade shows. So some of the PR professionals that I've longstanding relationships with, we've gone out to dinners. They invite me obviously to their clients' events, but it's not just, hey, thanks for showing up, nice to see you. It's, hey, what do you need from us? Or, hey, next year, our client's going to be releasing some really cool products. I'd love to, maybe we go out to dinner, or we could have a conversation about where this fits in with your audience. So there's actually someone behind there's an actual real person who is a PR professional, and there's a real person who is the editor. Those two people need to meet more often. So that the veil or the screen needs to come down. And I get more out of those conversations than I do out of 1,000 pitches via email or 1,000 phone calls, even if they're the best projects, because it's not even about that first pitch. It's about the dozens of other pitches or potential pitches that could happen because of these conversations you're having with the editors. And I understand it, everyone's so busy. It's hard to do that with a whole roster of editors that you're calling and pitching. So you're gonna have to pick and choose those opportunities. Most memorable pitch, I think it was, it actually started as a negative where it was a project that was pitched where we kind of messed up on the editorial side. And the PR professional was trying to cover their client and try to protect their client, and came at us a little bit aggressive. And I'm not going to say who it was or what project it was, but it was a little over the top in their reaction to a very minor mistake that happened during the editing and posting process. And that PR professional turned out to be one of our best friends and still ongoing relationship with BDC, because they realized that they were a little over the top. They realized that their client was being far too aggressive and reactive in a very minor mistake, and ended up sending us like a little gift just for the team. And more importantly, I think it kind of, when I talk about that, like the veils have to come down, it was that sort of situation. It was a very professional relationship up until that point. It became more of a friendship after that, because it kind of went through this together of, oh, I'm so sorry we messed up, and several angry emails from the PR professional turning into, you know what, we're sorry too. And we ended up having several phone calls and meetings at shows, and it turned into a very fruitful relationship where we've covered, the clients, other clients from this PR professional several times over the years, and came up with some great ideas for editorial projects. So I think it's memorable because we went through that very stressful moment together.